Hello, students. This is an example of an A paper. It was from a little while ago, but it still is an A paper. It's great. Uh, Notice that it's MLA style, and you can find the whole thing under Files, A paper, Position Essay. This is just a few of the paragraphs in it, but it will show you some of the things that I look for in a good essay. First, MLA style. That was all right. All of this stuff was good. Then an okay title, Homeschooling, a good choice for a great education. That was just fine. And then what strategy she used for the intro is to prove that the subject is noteworthy. And so she mentioned that there were a lot of 1.8 to 2.5 million kids being homeschooled. And she also used a quotation from Beatrix Potter. Thank heaven, thank goodness I was never sent to school. It would have rubbed off some of the originality. So that was quoted in Homeschooling. She doesn't have a works cited entry for Beatrix Potter because she found this quotation in Homeschooling, which is an article that she read. So that's why she says quoted in, and you can do that. That's just fine. Now notice the thesis statement. In many cases, parents who homeschool their children are providing a positive experience that equals or even surpasses the education those children would have received in a public school setting. That's good and clear and to the point. But notice that it says in many cases, not always, because that would be a logical fallacy. That would be either or, and that's not so. Sometimes sometimes it doesn't happen. So therefore, she put in the qualifier in many cases, because if you could find even one parent who did not do a good job, then that would be a logical fallacy if she just said parents who homeschool. So watch that whenever you are writing so that you don't use that logical fallacy. Now, one of the types of paragraphs that you need to have is reason and evidence. Reason and evidence supports your claim, supports your thesis. And this one, she's saying curriculum is an important reason for parents choosing the alternative route of homeschooling. And she's talking about curriculum having to do with special needs, curriculum having to do with advanced placement, or curriculum just having to do with the subjects being taught. But all of them have to do with curriculum. So therefore it is unified. She uses a source, the homeschooling source. She uses that often. And that's okay for this paper, but when it comes to the research paper, you can only use one source 3 times. But she uses 11% of this, 10% of that. It's from outside sources, not just her. So that makes her more credible. Here's another example of a reason and evidence paragraph, and I put this in for a couple of reasons. That she uses a good, clear transition. Another advantage to homeschooling is kids who are homeschooled have to learn time management early on, and then gives all kinds of different examples having to do with that. The other type of essay you need to have is an opposition and refutation paragraph. If you do not present the other side, then you're stacking the deck, which is a logical fallacy. You need to have both sides presented, but you don't have to say that they are right. You have to say that they are not understanding everything the way that you do, which is right. Some may argue, however, that some homeschool curriculums are substandard academically. And then she talks about children are not given advantages when applying to a college or major university. But then she notice this is the refutation part. If parents, however, choose a researched homeschool method and curriculum, etc., 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 the magic word for an opposition refutation paragraph is however. Some may argue is saying that they are saying it. However is saying that you are saying it in the other way, on the other side. Now, be careful of tone here. You don't want to call people idiots or anything like that. Remember ethos. That ethos is you are a credible person and a logical and reasonable person, and you want to present that kind of persona whenever you're doing a position paper. Here's another example of opposition and refutation. One of the most common arguments against homeschooling is that kids are not able to interact with peers. Advocates of homeschooling realize this. However, see, they're saying the claim is valid. However, this claim does not have to be true. It is up to the parents and students. So you're saying however, and then presenting your ideas. And then the conclusion for this one, what she does is called a frame, because she mentioned Beatrix Potter in the introduction, so now she's mentioning her in the conclusion also. Potter caught on to the appeal of homeschooling, and more parents are following her lead and homeschooling their children. As they do so, many more children are benefiting from the positive, loving, and beneficial experiences that homeschooling provide. It is a valuable and viable alternative to public education. Good, clear, interesting conclusion. This does not have this does have a works cited, and you can find it whenever you go to the file and look. It didn't seem to translate to a PowerPoint slide, so it didn't work here. But that is an example of an A paper. If you have any questions, let me know.